Spoon, stop. You're feedbacking the Discord call into your mic or something. You're muted and they hear us like multiple times. Yeah. I'm one giant echo right now.
This is great.
I haven't said anything, so don't blame me.
Here we go. I fixed it. Sorry. This is a disaster, man. This is like a garbage truck on fire. We're starting really hot today.
Just play the intro again and then start over, man. It's all good.
Okay, so with that being said, everyone's in New York, and apparently there's a big storm happening. Everyone's losing power. Kendall lost power, almost didn't make it for the last 5 minutes. Walkman lost power. Apparently his house is flooding or something, so he's gone. So also 9 is somewhere. I don't know. He's getting the gains or something. So we got... we have Mullen over here to replace him. I hope that he'll be good. What's up, Mullen?
I am doing great. I think 9 beats me in bench press and deadlift and every other applicable metric, but I'll try my hardest to be as swole and as entertaining as he is.
We're also joined by emergency guest literally like 5 seconds before the show because Walkman couldn't make it. Dr. Prodigy again, coming in clutch like every single time.
I'm like literally I'm like the booty call of Ink Radio at this point.
Wow.
It's true. I'm just like, yo, what's up, Prod? It's an emergency. I need you. And you're like, I'm coming right over.
You're the relief host, just always waiting in the bullpen to come on.
See, the reason why I do it is because if no one knows and then you come on, everyone's excited, right? So like it's that element of surprise that works well. So anyways, we're going to get right into it because we actually have like a lot to talk about this week. Concerning maps, the new mode, Platinum Cup, I would say are the biggest things. Not the new mode, sorry, the new map and the new weapons. Kendall, I saw your face.
I was like, new mode. I was like, whoa.
So anyways, let's start off with Platinum Cup. Let's start with the actual matches themselves. So there was an exhibition match before. We won't really get into that. We'll get into the actual matches that happened, the best of fives, which were one Japanese team versus one North American team in the semifinals. And then in the finals, it was one North American and one Japanese team. And those were GG Boys and Ghost Gaming. And then Set Destroy X and Libelant Calamari were 3rd and 4th playing. So tell me about the matches. What did you like about them? What didn't you like about them? How do you think the overall sets were?
Who's starting?
Of whoever, man, just go for it.
Sure. So
sorry, I'm used to the synergy on this show. You know, it's all new people all over the place. Usually just flows. I got to start telling people who to talk. So Mullen, go ahead and talk right away.
Yeah. So we'll start with the Ghost versus STDX set because I think that's what most people, I guess, took issue with based on Set to Destroy's performance. And I went back and I watched all of them live, but I went back and watched it. And like the games really aren't that bad. And most of the reason that Set to Destroy lost in those games was because both the splatter shots didn't perform like at all. I know if you go on Twitter or wherever, you see a lot of people shitting on Fuzzy and Hexen for not like teamwork. But Fuzzy bottom fragged like games 1 and 2. Kiver was like 3rd frag every single game. Like Pingit and Hexen played really well from what I saw, but there's literally nothing that you can do as like a Brella and a Rapid Pro if your front line is dead all the time. And Hexen was on Brella for whatever reason versus a double blaster comp, whereas I went back and watched like the Inkstorm Ghost Gaming versus Set to Destroy. That Set to Destroy won 3-2. Hexen won every single game that he was on Custom Jet Squelcher. Didn't play it at all in the Ghost versus STDX at Plat Cup. So that's kind of my impression of all of it. I think they really lost on comps, and they lost because their front line didn't play very well.
So are you trying to say that Hexen didn't throw the game?
He absolutely didn't. He did not throw at all, and anyone that says that is honestly very misinformed.
I did watch the games, and I don't play at like a competitive level like you guys do anymore. You know, I still have slightly a little bit of it, but I didn't think that they were throwing. Like, I didn't look at it and go like, oh man, like no one's playing. But I could see the things where maybe like someone wasn't doing call outs or executing like a lot of other people were saying. That could be an issue, but like from the matches I'm watching, I didn't see anything that could like indicate that they were just throwing matches. Like, they were obviously trying. They just weren't. It doesn't look like they were prepared, I think is the better way to describe it. But I would say throwing is a really strong word. Like, they didn't just like pick random weapons and go for it. Like, they did think it out a little bit. I don't know. You're smiling up there, Prodigy.
Oh yeah, but I'm gonna let Kendo go first.
Oh yeah, mine's not gonna be as crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm an old man. I fell asleep. My server pinged me multiple times, and I was still asleep. But I did rewatch some of the VODs of the games. And as an expert of throwing, because that's all I do ever is throw. If you ever watch any of my streams, that's all I do is throw. But no, I didn't think it was. I saw some things that, like, obviously you can tell, like, for the call outs or whatever. I know a couple people took a little bit of problems to, like, how they prepared for the game. But I didn't think it was that bad, like, as Mullen was saying, personally. And the only other game that was kind of crazy was what I thought was crazy, and everybody was, like, showed me for that one, was the Moray Towers, where, what was it? It was GG Boys, right?
Well, that was
GG.
Ghost Gaming against GG Boys.
Yeah. That one. For Ghost Gaming, yes, and GG Boys. I thought that was like just absolutely amazing. That one set right there. So I was watching. I got most of my recap from watching Soren stream today. So that's mostly the games I saw. He was playing most of the games where I guess he did well on. So yeah,
Just Soren streaming through. This is what I did amazing. Sounds like something I would do. Oh man, that's great.
Yeah, sure. So just about Plat Cup in general, or specifically about STD?
I would. Well, I mean, you could kind of go off. It's more just about the games in general. I think we started off on STDX because Mullen brought up that first match there, but
Okay.
I mean, we can go into everything else afterwards.
Yeah, there's quite a few different topics to kind of touch on, or that could be touched on in detail. Plat Cup. Overall, like, I stayed up and watched it. I kind of at the end regretted that decision. Not because of being tired or anything like that, but just overall after the event, I was kind of underwhelmed, I guess the best way to put it. I've felt really no urge to go back and rewatch the games at all or anything like that. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get into some more details about all that stuff later, because I don't want to start rambling right off the bat. But like, it was, the concept of Plat Cup was really cool, and I'm glad there was an opportunity to do it, and I'm hoping there's more opportunities in the future. But overall, for the first time doing a collaboration between, like, trying to bring teams together from different areas and stuff like that, I found it to be pretty underwhelming.
No, underwhelming would be one of the words that I would use to describe the entire event from a viewer perspective, and from even like a lot of the things that happened with Inkstorm, I think didn't give the best impression. And then Plat Cup was the opportunity to make amends for some of the criticisms people had of Inkstorm Cup. And it, yeah, didn't quite make anything better.
Okay.
I mean, starting out with like exhibition matches of Turf War for warm-ups, and then 4 teams, gear abilities off. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't very hype for me watching.
I guess we'll get into the stream in just a moment, but I do want to get into what were your highlighted matches. What do you think was the best showing? And what do you think of the West actually playing against Japan? Like, I know that it didn't really, like, no one beat Japan, right? But I mean, like, how do you think Ghost Gaming stacked? Yeah. What do you think about Ghost Gaming playing against not LeBlanc, GG Boys and STDX? Do you think they stacked up, or how do you feel about that overall?
I actually think that they did. So the Ghost Gaming set, obviously they were able to win the hang on, I'm gonna flip to that page. So they were able to win that Moray game, which was essentially just, GG Boys got memed on because there was a suction bomb like inside. There was a bomb that was like right behind the Rainmaker when it popped, and that got a triple. Yeah, whatever. Splat bomb. That got a triple, and they just got it. Game 1, Ghost Gaming essentially just got outskilled, which is not surprising. The Kelp Dome game was just standard Kelp Dome lockout. Like anyone that plays this game at a high level, regardless of the teams, if they're competitive level teams, and you wipe off the start on Kelp Dome and they start locking you out, you're just going to lose. But the game 4, which was Clam Blitz on the new map, that for whatever reason I can't remember the name
Hotel.
of
It
it was not Anchovy. It was
a hotel.
It was Hotel.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Albacore. That one, they should have won that game. Like Ghost Gaming 100% choked that set.
Yep.
They threw. Like there's no way. I don't know if it's because they got too excited or what. They should have 100% won that game. And that would have put it at a 2-2. And we have no idea what would have happened game 3. But they unfortunately choked and still took it to 3-1. But those were really close sets. Like other than games 1 and 3, which can happen in Splatoon, I thought that they were pretty competitive. And then the Libilant versus Set to Destroy, they did pretty well, especially like game 1, Art Academy. They were winning for a good half the match. But then like once Libilant got set up, like once they were able to take the zone and got Pion on top mid, they just locked them out. And there was like nothing they could do. And the rest of the games were pretty much Libilant's comp was a little bit more meta and a little bit better. And I think that in general, Libilant are better players. And that's not like a knock against Set to Destroy. I think that they were able to compete, but they just got outskilled. And then when you consider the fact that Ghost Gaming and Set to Destroy were the 3rd and 4th place from Inkstorm Cup, and we didn't get to see For the Win go, we didn't get to see Kraken Paradise go. All things considered, they stacked up pretty well. Did they lose? Of course they lost. But they had to fly across for Ghost Gaming 2 oceans.
Yeah.
For Set to Destroy 1 ocean. They were probably jet lagged. The Japanese players are not playing at a disadvantage as their home turf, essentially. So I think that the Western teams did pretty well.
Yeah,
honestly,
I would say so too. The only thing I want to add to that is I hear a lot of people saying that. So I don't know about any of this, so I'm just going to present it as if it's hypothetical. I was hearing a lot of things about STDX not really preparing for this because they knew it was an exhibition match. There wasn't any money on the line. It was for fun. All this stuff, and that's kind of why they didn't play as well as they did, was because there just wasn't any practice leading up to it. I know that Kiver deleted some tweets, not about that, but like just about like no teamwork or whatever. He seemed frustrated. So if this is true, where there was no practice behind it, I would kind of be disappointed. Now, with that being said, I understand the logic of like STDX, where it's like, if there's no prize pool on the line, why am I competing? But at the same time, you're trying to show off the rest of the world to Japan in a way, and I feel like you should be practicing and playing your best, because not only are you representing like your region, you're representing your brand STDX, and I feel like that is kind of a disservice to them. Like, I understand where it's coming from. Like, yeah, STDX is your sponsor, but in a way you should give back to them because they're one of the few people who actually have a sponsor. It would be nice to kind of want to flaunt it a little bit more so that they feel more comfortable around Splatoon.
I think the only real defense to that argument is the fact that there really wasn't that much exposure for this event. There was exposure on the Japanese scene, I assume. I have no idea what the viewership numbers were on OpenRec, but watching on Twitch, on the in-game stream, there was only about 700 or 800 viewers, which is really not a huge amount in comparison to like grand finals of SNS G5 Squidstorm.
I mean...
So for STDX, there's not a lot. Unless STDX is looking to get into the Japanese market, which I don't think that they are.
Well, I think it's more something like yeah, they may not be willing to go directly into the Japan market, but you have to understand, like, all their sponsors are still related to Japan, right? Like, if you're talking about DX Racer, who's part of it, they sponsor a lot of events in Japan. It still is exposure for DX Racer, who is like, hey, I'm putting my brand on your product. Sorry,
Kendall is like freaking out.
Yeah, but I see like DX Racer, and they're like, hey, like, you're getting our brand out to Japan. We also sponsor things in Japan. You know, it helps in that sense. Another thing too is a lot of the Splatoon viewership is just in Japan in general. And yes, while it's not the direct market that they're hitting, it still is good to have exposure anywhere, right? You still want to be presentable. So them kind of not showing up, or if that is the case that they're not showing up, then I'd kind of be disappointed, and I'd feel disappointed as a viewer too. Because I just feel like it's our chance, right? Japan is never going to be this place that has like the massive prize pools. But the fact that they get flown out there, they have their whole event and everything, I feel like you have this obligation to at least play hard, you know?
I mean, technically, no, you don't have that obligation. Like, officially, no, you don't have that obligation.
No, of course not. I never said officially.
Right, but that's one of my biggest critiques about this whole thing was that for the NA and European side of things, Inkstorm Cup was the tournament.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it doesn't matter how much you try to market Plat Cup as like a big tournament and stuff like that. At the end of the day, the actual official tournament for Plat Cup was 4 matches. That was it. And STDX, they played 5 games and they were gone, which, you know, no big deal. It's not so much the fact that they played 5 and gone. It was the fact that was literally like, if they had won games, they would have played maybe like a couple more, right? Like, instead of playing like 5 games, they maybe would have played like 9 or something like that. Like,
no team got more than 2 sets.
Yeah. And it's just a thing of like, this wasn't a tournament. This was an exhibition that was marketed like a. And when your event, half of the time slotted and scheduled for it is randomly drafted teams best of 1 turf wars, you are not a tournament. You are an exhibition. From what little I know in terms of how it was marketed in Japan, basically it was free to enter. Anyone could come out and watch, stuff like that. It was treated more as a for fun fan type of thing. And again, that may be how actual tournaments are ran in Japan. But for our audiences, that is by no means a tournament. Yet it was once again marketed as a tournament, an international tournament, and see the best compete. It's like, no, it really wasn't. Like, yeah, there were good teams there, but that was to show off the game. That was to show off competitive Splatoon, not an actual official tournament.
Yeah.
So do I think that the players still should have tried? Yeah, I agree.
So
but
I guess my argument to it too, sorry, just to cut you off, is, but let's say SCDEC grinded their asses off, or Ghost Gaming did too, but I feel like Ghost Gaming actually prepared, because they looked like they were definitely on the ball, you know? So that's why I don't want to say that. But if, let's say, SCDX or Ghost Gaming beat one of the Japanese teams in these exhibition matches, don't you think Japan would kind of take us more seriously and be like, oh my god, we should be looking out for these guys. Maybe we should tune into a stream here or there. Like, yes, I understand they're not catering to it, but their viewership is really nice for us too. So if they get invested in our scene, that's a good thing.
I think that's a caveat though, because like, Japan already knows STDX, right?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
And like, so if it was a different North American team there and they beat Japan, like, yeah, definitely, like, that would be huge. That would be very big. I'm guessing even a certain amount of them probably know about Ghost. Probably not as much, simply because of like not having Fuzzy. But again, they probably still are aware of them. At least some of the professionals are probably like, have heard of Ghost and know a little bit about them or something. So
yeah, I think for Japan, they already know STDX because STDX has gone to E3 twice. Yeah. They were going as the representative to Plat Cup. So as much exposure, the exposure is the same. SCDX doesn't need to win at all to have the same level of exposure that they already have. Like, going to the event is the maximum amount of exposure that they would have had. Like, would people have taken them more seriously had they won? maybe, but I don't think they would have gained any significant draw. And even if they did win, like I don't see how Japanese viewers would help STDX. Like most Japanese players are gonna watch on OpenRec. They're not gonna come to Twitch streams, and they're definitely not gonna come to Twitch streams that STDX is not involved in. Considering the fact that STDX only plays in tournaments that have prize pools in the West, if they win, cool. If I'm a Japanese Splatoon guy and I'm like, hey, I want to watch STDX, let me go check out a BNS or SQSS or any other online tournament. They're not playing, so you can't even watch them.
Yeah, I just meant more in terms of the actual skill level. I don't know. I guess I'm just of the idea that no matter what the size or what audience you're catering to, you should always just be respectful and always give your all, at least in these things. I understand it's like not always the greatest thing, but you are getting flown out to this event. You should try and be respectful in that sense of it too. Like it's like anything, like even with work, like you don't go to someone who may potentially impact your life for like 5 minutes and just like shit on him or like be rude to the guy. Like you're always going to be professional and polite. And I think that's how you should act just everywhere.
Go back. Go ahead, Prodigy.
I was gonna say, like, again, like I agree with all that, but at the same time, just playing devil's advocate.
No,
at the same time, it's like I don't blame the people. Like straight up, let's just be straight up blunt about it. Certain members of STDX did not practice about this or take it as seriously, and as a whole, STDX as a team did not practice. Right? Straight up, that's just being blunt. That's out there. That's known.
I don't. That's why I was asking.
Question: where does everybody know this from? I'm actually
that's
really
what
curious.
I'm saying.
Where does everybody know this from? Because I thought it was known that they like pulled their strings.
Oh my God, Kendall, you're cutting out. Oh my God.
I thought it was known that it was like they pulled their strings.
No, stop. What? Okay, if anyone wants to question this, go on Twitch, go to Hexen's channel, watch the VODs leading up to Plat Cup. How many of those VODs are Splatoon scrimmages?
Yeah,
but I thought I know
that's all you need to do.
Question. I thought they started pulling their VODs not pulling their VODs, but stopped streaming their the scrims a long time ago. Honestly, I thought they stopped.
That's not. They don't stream scrims shortly before events. Like if an event's not coming up and they're scrimming, they'll stream it. But even then, it's. Talk to the members. Like the members are fairly open about this. The Twitter drama is fairly open about it.
I mean, yes, okay, fine, yes, I understand that, but like the whole notion of practice, I mean, it could have just been synergy at the end of the day, but whatever. I'm just saying.
It's they straight up did not practice as a team. Like individual members might have practiced, but as a team, they did not practice.
Anyways, getting off more of that. And getting more into other things that we could help in the Japanese scene and bringing synergy together between us two. Let's talk about the stream that happened for Platinum Cup. So if I'm not mistaken, EGTV got flown out or got some of their portions paid to get flown out and help stream the event for us. And as we saw, I watched the VODs. I didn't stay up all night. I went to sleep at 11 o'clock. So whatever. I watched the VODs, and then I thought I had a problem with my computer because the audio wasn't working. And then I skipped through. I'm like, no, it's working. And then it found out that the audio problems were EGTV multiple times. It happened more than once. For long periods of time, not 30 seconds. You're talking
there was multiple whole sets had no audio whatsoever, and it was delayed. Like the OpenRec stream started, they were doing stuff, they were getting into it, and there was zero stream going on the in-game side at all. And then when it did come, it didn't have audio, and then audio came back, and then it went away again. So it wasn't a very good experience from a production perspective for in-game.
Yeah. Just the audio was bad. The commentary was okay. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan overall. But the matches were nice to watch. And I know a lot of people ended up going to OpenRec when it was live. So, yeah. Anyone want to add anything to that? I guess my question to you is, do you think this impacts our future correspondence with Japan in any way?
Yes,
Really?
I do. I think the whole from almost start to end of this entire ordeal, I personally would not be surprised if the people involved with this from Japan's side, I'm always draw a blank on how the name's pronounced, Shinobiism or whatever the sponsor was. Shinobism, or Plat Cup, the group that run Plat Cup or whatever. I would not be surprised if they look down on us after this, not even because of the team standpoint of things, but also just because of how everything was ran and handled. I mean, even from the very beginning with the drama or however, whatever, I probably shouldn't be using the word drama, but whatever you want to call it, the issues with Kraken Paradise and FTW not getting a trip out here because of quote unquote mistranslations or miscommunication between translations and stuff like that. I mean, there's everything has been a hassle from the very beginning. So to then recap it with a stream that wasn't that good. I mean, maybe they don't know about that, and so maybe they don't really care or anything like that. But like from a player's perspective and a viewer perspective, this whole thing was it felt very rushed. It felt very scrappy. It felt not very coordinated. There was a lot of potential obvious issues that could occur that did occurring, and they didn't really seem to really be kind of able to respond to those issues very well. I'm honestly trying not to just like, I'm not going to try to like, I don't want to just focus on all the negatives, because like at the same time, like this is an extremely cool opportunity. This is something that I 100% hope this happens again in the future. But at the same time, we need to be honest about what happened. That stream quality for how much this was hyped was abysmal. I'm sorry, but it was abysmal.
The one thing I do want to mention is I don't know, this might not be Endgame's part. This might also be
yeah, we don't know the full story.
Event. No, I don't mean for audio issues. And regardless if it is or isn't their event, it happened on their stream. So I'm not saying that. What I mean is the wait times were excessive for a lot of things.
Yep.
Like people complain about our tournaments and our stream times of delay, and I'm just like, you have no reason to complain anymore.
But again,
so long.
It was an exhibition though, not a tournament, and that's another point that kind of provides support for my argument about that, right? Like you did best of one turf wars to warm up, and then you had like, well, to warm up, right? And then you had 45 minutes of downtime for the players to warm up with their actual teams afterwards or something like that. I think it was the official reason for why there was that big break between the turf wars and the actual matches. So like DGTV was given an incredibly difficult hand, right? Like to have people fly over, they had like 3 people plus Tic Tac, right? And they had to set up their own stream, run it, and everything like that. Like I'm going to assume that is incredibly difficult. At the same time, given how everything worked out, I bet they could have had a better put together stream if only one person flew out there and they did remote and casters and everything like that. Like have one person there to coordinate things and they do the stream remotely. I bet the stream would have been 100 times better, to be perfectly honest. For how much they hyped it up, it was really just not good at all.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
I mean, I think that's fair. The matches were nice to watch, but I think the stream quality was... I would have been very disappointed if I had to stay up at 4 a.m. to deal with that.
Yeah. It was a letdown, for sure, at least for me. The only reason... I'll straight up say this. The only reason I didn't watch the OpenRec stream over the EGTV stream was mainly because I couldn't get it to consistently buffer at like 720p or whatever. And that's because OpenRec doesn't have servers in the United States. They only have servers in Japan or whatever, right? Like, that is legitimately the only reason why I watched EGTV stream over OpenRec.
Yeah, I mostly had the OpenRec open, just so that I'd have some audio. I think overall, like, the event wasn't that. It's hard for me to even say that it was like, yay, this is cool that events like this are happening, because I don't even know what the Japanese sponsor wanted out of this experience. Like, why spend the money to fly people over? Like, why did they need to physically be there? And why is that an advantage over just, if I was the players, I would have rather just had the cash. I mean, for them, I guess it's cool they get flown out to Japan. Me, as more of an adult, and I've had to go to like work conferences and fly out for various things. Getting a trip paid for is not the most impactful thing. And then couple that, like you talked about STDX, like, oh, it's this opportunity for the sponsor, and oh, STDX has DX Racer, which does business in Japan. I don't think STDX actually helped their players like pay for any of the expenditure of this trip. I don't know. I'm that's total conjecture on my part, but just based on the information that I've been given, I don't think that was the case. And then people want to give them shit for not practicing. It's like, well, Pingit was sitting there cranking out commissions to try to make money to go on the trip. Like, he's cranking out commissions. He's trying to actually do work to get money to go on this trip. And I mean, I know that they're going to have fun and everything, and that's cool, but it wasn't a situation that you would have expected them to perform their best. Whereas North American LAN tournaments that they go to, you're going to get the best out of them, because that's what they're, for one, it's what they're good at and have the most experience at. It's what the sponsor wants them to be doing. Like, I don't know how much STDX cared about them going over. I don't know how much Ghost Gaming cared about them being over. I mean, Ghost Gaming, is this their first LAN as Ghost Gaming?
Yeah.
Yes.
So one would expect that Ghost Gaming, I actually know very little about Ghost Gaming, but I assume they're a European sponsor. But if they want them to be going out,
American.
No?
They're American.
They're an American sponsor. Okay, well, shoot.
They have
probably want them coming to American lands, because that's the sponsor's market. That's where the exposure is. I feel like this event was Shinobism trying to do something for Shinobism in their own market. And they didn't really give a lot of regard to the Western scene. They didn't give a lot of respect to the Western scene. Like, I don't know if they didn't take it seriously, but like the sub rule going, I think it was perfectly reasonable in-game's interpretation of the rule. Getting a sub should not be that big a deal. It really shouldn't. And from my understanding, it was the sponsor that pushed back on that. And to push back on it, to say that, oh, we don't want this team subbing because we want a full team. We want the best of the best. And then you watch the stream and it's an exhibition match with Turf War. Like, what the hell? Like, what? Why couldn't For the Win or Kraken Paradise go for that?
Yeah.
For that? Really?
It's a good point. I honestly didn't even think about that. That's a good
pretty
point.
Valid.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I actually, just one last thing to top it off. I agree with you, Prodigy, on that with the remoting. Just have one person there, make sure everything's running smoothly, have it remote over. Someone runs the stream with just a slight delay, and gets that stuff worked out. We have the means to do it with us too. I mean, we could remote from. We've even talked about doing that, where like we host a local in like Montreal and have like someone else remote it and have all the production run there just to like let it go. So yeah, it's things that could have worked out for the better. You would have better casters commentating, and I get people want to see like the live event, but then just have another camera that you also shoot up to the stream, and they can just pan over to the caster view or whatever whenever they feel like. Like, these are things that can be worked out and probably worked out for the better, in my opinion.
I would agree with you, because it wasn't like the production staff was really interacting with the players in any way.
Yeah.
Like,
you were there just to kind of be a sideline to whatever the Japanese event was. Like, people were saying the interviews weren't translated. Tic Tac wasn't live translating these things either, right? So I'm not saying that's a detriment. Like, I'm not saying they're going like, they should have. It's more like that is what the situation was. So if you knew that in advance, maybe make it so that someone can actually run it from externally. So I think Prodigy was right.
Can you guys, real quick, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. I had a slight power surge, so everything kind of stuttered there for me for a bit.
It's moving to you now.
So, yeah, I guess, I mean, that's kind of it. The one thing I will say is I did really like seeing all the players visit Japan and, like, visit all the areas. Like I said, I went to Japan in March, and I thought it was awesome, and seeing them kind of go through their own adventure through Japan in tweets and stuff, I thought was actually pretty cool overall. Yeah, I don't know. That was probably my favorite part of Platinum Cup, was actually watching everyone go to Japan.
Yeah, my favorite part was Twitter. And just
Yeah.
watching everybody's post about like how much fun they were having, seeing them interact with the players. That probably was my favorite part. But I mean, I feel like, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like we're going a little hard. And I feel like it's just the humble beginnings. I feel like they'll do it again.
If you don't want us to go hard, don't mark it as a tournament.
You're
sorry.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, but I feel like at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I never thought that this was like, even with For the Win going and KP, I never thought, like, I thought this was truthfully an all-star game at the end of the day. Like, it's like your prize to go over. You get to do a couple matches over there, see what Japan's like. From my perspective, that's kind of like.
So
what
here's
it felt
one
like.
thing I do want to bring up, because I've brought this up before. Sorry, we're gonna go back to production really quick, because I want to rebuttal that by saying you knew there was only 4 teams going for a long time, and you're telling me that there was no prep for anything about the teams, the players. Everything was already set in stone, and you have stats from Inkstorm to help you with these things. Why was nothing made in the downtime for this? Why was nothing made previously before they came to Japan in a USB drive and just like plugged into the computer and dropped into a stream? Like, these things are minor, but they add so much more value to like someone who's watching an event to build it up while you're streaming, right? Why not have a player profile? Why not have a quick intro video of a team? Like, you have only 4 teams. You have so less work you need to do, and I feel like there was just nothing done to accommodate that. It's like, and from my perspective, it looks like, okay, well, we're going to go have a trip there, and we'll run the stream because that's fun, but we're not going to do more than the bare minimum that's required. I think we're past that point. I honestly think we're past that point where the bare minimum is not enough anymore.
Yeah, like, again, like, I really want to give DGTV the benefit of the doubt, because like, I can't imagine having 3 people plus a translator, like unofficial staff, essentially, come to a different country across the ocean and set up a stream. Like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they ran into a billion different hurdles along the way, and that they did their best to overcome them all to put on in concept a really cool thing. Because at the end of the day, that's what they did. At the end of the day, they still put something together. The issue is that, in my personal opinion, the performance across the board and all those individual steps was subpar. Like, and then like, subpar is like not what you want, especially not what you want for your big first international thing where you're getting invited to a different country.
And I'm saying it's 4 teams. It's not like 16 or top 8 where you have to think about all these teams. You have to think about 4 teams, do research on 4 teams, and then put together, I don't know, a couple of slides, even a bio about a team. Like, anything. Like, I'm saying you had weeks to prepare for anything like that. You could have done it. Even like a small panel. Like, you don't, like, here, if we're assuming, Prodigy, what you're saying, we assume the benefit of the doubt that they couldn't anticipate the technical issues. Okay, we'll give them a pass on that. Okay, we're saying that they couldn't fly out commentators, but they put AC and Iric on, the 2 best that they could get. Okay, we'll give them a pass on that. Okay, they can't run their same broadcast because the computer's not as strong as what they're used to. Okay, we'll give them a pass on that. But you're telling me that there's no pre-event thought of the teams or the players or the rosters or overlays for those or anything that you could prep beforehand to make the event any bit better or more hype? Other than putting Twitter posts saying, here are the 6 teams that we've done at Young Inc. just on a regular basis and asked players for bios that took 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm saying you can give all of these passes, but there's still this that I'm like, there's obviously no prep work done.
Yep.
And whether they did or didn't, it doesn't show. I think that's just the best way to describe it.
I really don't have a rebuttal at all.
I think you hit the nail on the head
I-
when you said that it was rushed, Spoon. When it's like this felt rushed, it was rushed, and therefore, like I don't know how busy they were leading up to it. We can give them the benefit of the doubt, but again, for the caliber of production, for the amount of hype that was going into this, that was not at all. You okay, Negus? Kendall, you all right, man?
It's honestly, I can hear it through my headphones now. It's here now, and it's like it's just constant, just thunder going. It's pretty wild out.
Anyways.
Yeah, I agree with you, Spin.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is that if you can anticipate all of that, I'll even give you the benefit of the doubt for that. But just to see that there was literally nothing prepared in advance about the teams, anything, like literally nothing. Like to me, it's just so simple to get like a simple stat, like weapons used in Inkstorm Cup from Ghost Gaming. Put like 2 little weapon icons. Oh my god, it's revolutionary. No one's ever done that before. You can't do that? I don't know. I guess maybe it's like the motivator in me, but I look at this and I go, oh my god, we have an event where there is only 2 teams and we're preparing weeks in advance. There is so much we can add to this to build up. And it's just like there was nothing. It's just like, here's teams. They're playing. It's Japan. Like, and you expect to ride the hype because it's Japan. Like, I guess that's the way I see it.
As Walkman said in the chat, on live commentary, they were like, what is crossplay again? Like, one of the more famous Splatoon players in Japan didn't even know like what weapons he normally plays. Like, that's a big L right there. That is a really big L. Like, I want to defend them. I really, really do, but it's just incredibly hard.
Anyways. Well, okay, so I do want to clarify in the end. They do run big events. The production and the design is always super nice about these things, and I do hope that they run better events. But we're saying this because we want them to get better. In the same way that if someone told us we ran a bad stream, we do want to hear that feedback so we can get better in the future, right? Like,
yeah.
Obviously, we don't expect ourselves to get shit on because we don't expect to run that type of stream, but if something goes wrong, like, we want to know about it and we want to fix it, right? So I think that's what it is.
I mean, when we ran Beacon and we had all those bad networking issues that caused long delays in our events, and we had issues with stream accordingly because of that stuff, you know, the next week, DJ and I went back to Aeon. We sat down with our production guy, Trevor, and we sat down and we just shot a 10-minute video going over everything that happened, explaining what we did about it. Oh, was that you? I thought it was DJ.
Kendall doesn't exist anymore. He's just gone.
It's been a long time. That was back in March.
It's all good.
But anyway, the point was that like we came out and we basically said, here's everything that happened. Here's how we tried to fix it at the venue. Here's what we're doing to fix it in the future. And we got that video out in like less than like 2 weeks, right? Like, we were very open and receptive to feedback, and I hope DGTV does something of the same. They already kind of did one thing where they put out a little Google Doc kind of explaining what happened with the 2 teams that should have gone but didn't. And even then, that was kind of more like, oh, it wasn't really our fault type of thing. Like, we'll take blame, but like it was a translation thing. We're so sorry. From what I've heard from the players, they did everything. They tried really, really hard to get those teams to go. So that's just from what I've heard from word of mouth from some of the different people involved with that whole ordeal. So they fought really, really hard to make those teams able to go. But at the end of the day, it's like this. They should really be open to the feedback, and I hope they kind of show that.
All right. Well, I think that's enough talk about Endgame. And the event. I think we'll go into the weapons. So new weapons were released last week. We had ancho-v, We had the Nautilus 42 and the Bloblobber. We also had some weapons that we previously had with different kits, but we won't get too much into that. I want to get more into just the 2 new weapons and how you guys feel about playing them. I know that everyone's probably touched the Bloblobber at least once. I have myself. I actually turned on the game to physically play the Bloblobber. So, yeah, give me your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about the 2 new weapons. And how do you guys feel about ancho-v in Splatoon 2?
I love the Bloblobber. It's fun. It's fun to play. It's fun to use in solo queue. It's just fun, like bouncing stuff off of walls and then like trying to like get kills in like crazy areas, being able to like, you know, pop the Rainmaker shield basically from anywhere. I don't know if you ever saw the clip on Moray Towers where somebody was like on the 2nd level and just like sloshing them in. Also, you should check out Victoria's ad video on that. She did a great job. It was actually great. But why am I drawing a blank on the other weapon? The Nautilus. It's cool.
I know why you're drawing a blank.
It's because no one cares about it. The only thing that matters is the Bloblobber.
Yo, it's so bad. It's basically the GoobTuber of Splatlings. Like, I know, like, I'm gonna probably like Poke's probably gonna like message me right now and be like, "What are you saying? It's so amazing!" And this, that, and the third. It's bad. I was just like, it barely has any range, and it's whatever. Yeah.
It's bad.
The Hydra's more exciting.
Yeah,
let me
it honestly is.
The Hydra's more exciting.
Like, I think the Nautilus would be seen a lot with some very minor changes. Like the actual concept of being able to hold charge on a Splatling is really, really cool. And it's something that I hope they play around with a little bit more and don't just kind of like leave it to be as it is. I'm sure they won't. But as it is right now, it just doesn't. It's like too short range, and to like really be aggressive. I don't know. It's the whole kit just doesn't really make. Yeah. Really, like the strengths of the Nautilus weapon and its kit do not synergize whatsoever very well at all. So it's, I don't know. It's a bit disappointment in my opinion. The Bloblobber is really, really cool. I think there's fun. A lot of people still trying to figure out what's like best. I know I had a big debate with Mullen included about what's the kind of like the best things to run on it, like thermal and stuff like that. I personally think it's best as a frontliner and just running QR, stealth, maybe like a little bit of swim speed, stuff like that. But there is a lot of variety you can use with it, and all those varieties are strong. It was just a debate about what's the strongest. I had with Mullen and a server a while ago.
Why do you think it's a frontliner? Just asking.
For me, there's a couple different reasons why. First and foremost, it doesn't need stat, right? Like it doesn't need main saver, it doesn't need special charge or anything like that, right? It has a lot of open possibilities. And generally speaking, when you have a lot of open possibilities on a weapon that can slay, it's usually pretty dang good for a frontliner option, right? Because then you can put the QR on there and not be really punished at all. Second, the special in of itself Inkstorm is something that you don't really need to worry about needing to have that ink come up from spawn, right? It's not something where it's not like a Stingray or a Bomb Rush where if you die and you have to charge it up, like you're going to get heavily penalized for that, right? Inkstorm's pretty much versatile. It can be used in any situation, anywhere, right? Lastly, one of the other big things is the fact that even though it has slow projectiles and even though it kind of doesn't have the fastest movement, it still paints really well and it fights really well. And, you know, again, anything like that you can get up in the front line, I think is good. I've literally don't run any special charge up on mine. I run all QR, stealth jump. I do run comebacks. Technically, that does count. And a little bit of swim speed. And when I'm playing that weapon, I'm consistently getting like 1700 plus.
Bloblobber?
On Bloblobber, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to use it competitively with Deep Blues?
Not
you yourself, but just your team.
Right. That's something that we probably are going to toy around with. We'll have to see. I wouldn't be too surprised if the weapon gets nerfed, just with its overall efficiency. I think it's too efficient as it is. It does literally everything. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it's fun. I think it does have a spot in competitive play. It might still be a little bit too niche. Like you might only see it on certain maps. But overall, I think it's really solid.
So,
How about you, Mullen?
yeah, so going in the order that we did, why does the Nautilus suck? I'll start with that. But just to go back to it, I wasn't able to give my thoughts really on it other than agreeing that it's bad. But it's like, for most of the weapons in Splatoon that have a charge up, they have a charge up to offset some strength that you get for having that disadvantage. So normally it's either it has a fast time to kill or it has long range. And that's how it balances having the wind up. Nautilus has neither of those. So it has a wind up and it has nothing making up for that. And the charge hold doesn't make up for it being a bad weapon overall. So that's why the Nautilus sucks. Bloblobber is really, really good. I don't even think that it's niche. I think that you can run Blob on essentially every single map and mode. And it is a front line. Like, I 100% agree with Prodigy. It is a front line. If there's people out there that are using the Lobber as a mid lane, or like, oh, I'm just gonna, throw balls out and ink storms and I'm just gonna paint for my team, that is not the best way that you should be playing the weapon. You should be playing it as a main slay. And it's ridiculously good at that. And I do think that like thermal is best in slot because you can chase down. Like how long thermal lasts with the weapon, especially when you're playing it as a front line, if you die to somebody in the enemy's base because you were pushing up, when you respawn, you know where that person is moving. So if that person goes to the flank, you can see them. And just with the way the weapon works, you get a lot of kills. You get a lot of kills from having thermal. And I do think that you should be running charge up. So like my current build is like a Pure of Swim, thermal in 3 subs of charge up, and a Pure of charge up. And similar to Prodigy, I'm getting like 1,500, 1,700, 1,800 paint per game and putting up like 28, 24, 20 plus like kills and assists pretty consistently. Like you're absolutely 100% going to see it in competitive play.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
I think like why it's frontline is because the balls are actually really slow. Like you're not going to get a lot of kills if you're back because they're just too slow. People will dodge them. Or what is currently happening is you're going to be facing other lobbers that will just put a wall down. They'll just put a wall down and they don't have to worry about you, and they'll farm your team that's pushing into them. Like the lobber Ditto is also like really, really, really fun, and it's an engaging matchup. I think you're definitely going to see it in competitive play, like 100%. I've played it in a couple scrims now. I think right now people are trying to figure out which comps work with it because, like I said, it's really good at slaying and it paints really well. I think that's what's kind of confusing people about where it fits in the meta. But you're going to see a lot of it, and I would expect it to get nerfed. So, I think the 180 ink storm is not going to stay. That's the obvious one, right? Like it's going to be like a 200 or a 210 ink storm.
So I got to play it, and I will say that it's really strong because of one reason. I turn off motion controls when I record footage for like Ink TV stuff and like map views and everything, because you don't want like a shaky cam, right? So every time I enter a ranked game, I always forget I do that. So of course I play without motion for the first game, and it's a disaster. Well, I picked Bloblobber on my first game, and I actually went positive and did well for my team and popped the Rainmaker and got the lead. So I looked at that and went, it's a broken weapon, because if I can do well without motion controls, then it has to be good. Because, like, you don't understand. Like, without motion controls, I literally just can't play the game, period. Like, it's a disaster. So, yeah.
That's fair.
It's a good weapon.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, we
just
ran...
to comment on one person that says it's not good in CQC, it is absolutely good in CQC.
Yeah, I actually, like, with my stick controls, I had someone right near me, and I just kind of shot it, and I got all 4 shots right away and got it direct. I'm like, it's a good weapon.
Yeah, we use quad.
Oh, Negus.
You're muted.
Oh.
There you go.
No, yeah, you just were too far away from your mic.
Am I good? Am I good?
You're fine.
All right, cool. Yeah, we used 4 Bloblobbers in BNS last week, and yeah, it did everything. So we kind of wrecked the team. So
yeah, well, we did watch a match. Peter Land play with 4 Bloblobbers, and they destroyed the team who was playing. Like straight 3-0. It was it was not. I'd say it's fun to watch because it was fun to watch. But yeah, it was crazy.
I think it probably needs like one less bounce. Make them pop like one bounce sooner, and then it won't be so obnoxious when there's so many of them on a team.
I don't know why. I feel like I'm not convinced yet. I feel like it needs a little bit more time before anything to it. But hey, that's just me.
All right, let's get into some viewer questions over here, guys. I'm going to move as fast as I can. I think we kind of answered this, but just a quick yes or no. Do you think the Bloblobber could take over as a dominant weapon? And Ninja just showed me 2 dudes kissing. It has nothing to do with the 2 dudes. I just don't want to have a big image of people making out on stream. So, do you think the Bloblobber could take over as a dominant weapon?
No.
Okay.
Not in the capacity that the Imperies has. If that's what their definition of a dominant weapon. Do I think it will be meta and you'll see almost 1 per game, if not 2 per games? You will. You absolutely. But like when you think dominant, I think like quad Imperies per game. Or when people ran double Brella every single game.
Yeah. How about you, Prod?
I definitely don't think it'll take over completely. I wouldn't be surprised if you see it often. I still think it has some weaknesses, and I think it's still being optimized. It's definitely not like Imperies where you could potentially see like 2 a game, single map. Like it won't be like that in my opinion. But I think it's a solid pick if you need an Storm weapon, and we'll probably see a lot of it. Not as like dominant as other frontliners.
Kendall?
Yeah, same. I don't think it's going to be dominant. I mean, I don't think it's going to be like Impery, obviously, because this is like the inkjet meta. I don't think that's changing for anything. So, yeah.
I'm just going to shoot out there. It's going to be crazy strong. You're going to see 2 Bloblobbers on every team.
Are we starting up another bet?
No.
Yeah, I would take you up on that because the problem is Imperies
everyone will take me up on my bets because I make the bets
please,
that no one wants to take. Okay, I make the extreme bets in the hopes that they come true. I don't think Imperies
is going anywhere, man.
If the Lobber was better at dealing with inkjets, but it's actually terrible at it. Like it's really bad.
That's exactly
You've ever been in the situation where an inkjet? So sometimes
I mean, it's like as bad as the inkjets would like
stay kind of far away. Now they can just get right on top of you. If an inkjet is vertically above you, you literally can't, because you can't aim straight up in the game. The game won't let you do it. In the way the balls like come out of the weapon, you just can't do it. I've killed maybe 3 or 4 inkjets, and I've tried to kill like 80.
The inkjet has to make a mistake to even have a chance. That's the bottom line.
Okay. Nightmare asks, we'll wrap this up because we kind of talked about it. How do you feel about STDX performance as of late? Could it be regression, lack of motivation, NAEU catching up, etc.? Or do you think there isn't a problem?
I don't think there's a problem at all. I think anyone that says there's a problem, and specifically people that say that like Austin and Kiver deserve better teammates, which is a hilarious thing for anyone to say because their teammates are the ones that got them there in the first place. It's just idiotic. Like, as soon as we see them lose a LAN that's like a proper LAN, then I'll say something. Because it wasn't that long ago at SNS that they swept grand finals, right? It wasn't that long ago at G5 that they came back from losers bracket reset, won grand finals. They won US-Canada Inkling Open. They won Squid Storm, which there wasn't that much competition, and I'm including myself in the not that much competition there. But they have consistently performed well, and we have struggled completely for other teams to beat them. The only one that came reasonably close, or I should say successfully did, was for the win in Kraken Paradise. And that was in just this most recent Ink Storm, and there was a lot of issues with Kraken Paradise with their subbing and Gray being notoriously laggy and having to be essentially disqualified from the tournament based on how latent he was. But for the win was like Tomo and Shaq and Ice, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
It was Kyo, Toon, Shaq, Ice.
Yeah,
right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And these are players that have performed really well on other teams. And if like For the Win stays a team, that would be the one to beat. But I would like to see that team come to a LAN and play them in a LAN environment. Because until that happens, like I think anyone is off their rocker if they're saying that they've regressed. Like we still haven't been able to upset them as like undisputed North American LAN kings. And until that happens, like I can't say that they're playing.
Yeah. How about you?
I'm gonna be that guy that disagrees. At the very beginning of Mullen's whole thing is that if you disagree, you don't know what you're talking about or whatever. I don't know exactly what you said.
Well,
I'm gonna be the guy that
Prodigy,
disagrees.
You clearly don't know what you're talking about. So
I don't, not at all.
Tell us your fake news.
Too much. You've been sniffing too much formaldehyde.
Oh no.
Yeah, tell us this fake news you got.
I can't. My basement is floating, so I can't.
Is there?
Whoa! And Mullen is gone.
Death. Oh my goodness.
Everyone just died. What is happening to Prodigy?
His basement. Yo, I told you this arena is crazy.
Okay, so
Apparently
since Prodigy
flooding.
is dealing with his flood, Kendall,
No,
how do you feel about this question?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. Nobody cared this much until a certain aspect happened. Like everybody was making jokes during G5. Obviously, they were making their memes when, oh, no Hexen, whatever. But the real hate started and people just thinking that their team was going downhill and them wanting their team to go downhill was when Fuzzy joined the team. And the funny, in all honesty, I mean, technically, not even technically, they won 2 lands with him on the team. I feel like if any team can work through it, I feel like it's them. I mean, yeah, there might be some team synergy problems, but they've been the most consistent team still. Even making it to these lands, losing 2 For the Win. I mean, in not Squidstorm. What's it called?
Inkstorm Cup.
Inkstorm. That's still what, second place or whatever you want to call it. That's still really strong. They have it until I feel like, in all honesty, until they come in 5th, 6th place, consistently, there's nothing to talk about. Even them losing to Ghost Gaming, still a strong team. They've beat them consistently over and over. I mean, you usually have to do it again. So if they're go to another online tournament where they do it again and then they just sweep them straight up again, I'll be like, all right, there's a conversation for Ghost Gaming actually having competition to them. But I feel like STDX, if they are good players and they are competitors, I feel like they will get their stuff together for the next LAN.
All right.
That's all I have to say.
All right. Next question from I don't know if we can answer this, but there's a bunch of people asking questions about Ludi. So we have K-Bot who says Ludi playoff predictions. And then we have Mewtwo saying, since Ludi playoffs are coming, is there a certain team you'll be rooting for? Any teams that you didn't expect to get into playoffs?
I don't even know who's in Ludi playoffs. I haven't paid attention to Ludi at all.
So I guess that is the real answer, is that none of us have watched Ludi, seen Ludi. If it's not on a stream, I'm probably not watching it. So I didn't even know that the playoffs were happening for Ludi right now, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I don't want to be disingenuous. I don't want to be disingenuous and try and pick a team that I think will win, because I really have not followed it at all. I'm not even in the Ludi server. There's no stream for it. They don't really hype up the matches at all. So it's fun.
I don't know who's in the highest bracket.
All I know is that it seems really fun for the casual people. And players seem to be really invested in it, but casual viewers and others just, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. I remember the Ludi tournament, seeding tournament or something, and I heard about it, but I didn't watch any of the matches. And I didn't watch any of the matches at all this season. I don't know who's in playoffs, so I can't really comment.
So then,
if I knew who was in playoffs, then I could at least guess if they were teams that I knew. But if they're not teams that I know or teams that I've played against personally, I probably have zero opinion of them.
So I
Like,
guess
there's entire subsects of the scene that I just don't know.
yeah, there's a follow-up from YouTube. Bad Luck All Hacks is his Twitter name. He does add an addendum to this that I think we can talk about, which is Hugh forgot to put this in my previous question, but have there been any teams lately that have caught your eye as an up-and-coming team? Do you think the said team has a potential of being top team?
The only one I know off the top of my head is what is it, Puppy Pop? Can't remember whose team that is.
Puppy Pop is already, I consider them already a top team. They've won BNS or have come close multiple times already.
They won. They
won one,
right?
and they've come close multiple times after.
And is it Bran? Is Bran on that team?
Johnny.
I can't remember their full lineup.
Yeah.
Gumi, Eshu, and I don't remember the other two. But yeah, they're up and coming. Well, I would say they're already at the top. I wouldn't even consider them up and coming anymore. I already consider them a top team.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's players that have been on other top teams. So, yeah, other than that, maybe what is it? Octopi, but I don't know if they've been playing well. I just remember they were doing kind of well for a while, and I know they picked up some people, but I haven't. It's the only one that comes up off the top of my head. I haven't really seen any teams that are like new teams that are performing really well, which is kind of disappointing in a way. And then I haven't been playing tournaments myself that recently, so I haven't like hit people that I'd be like, oh, this is a team that beat us. Like, oh wow, they're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kendall, do you have any teams?
No, no. I think besides what you named from like their tournament.
You're cutting out. You're not talking loud enough.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I think like the power outages have like messed with everything. Honestly.
No, it's that you gate your mic too hard. Lower your gate.
It is lowered. No, I said everything
more.
No, like everything got reset. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because of the power outage?
Yeah, because of the power outages. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, nah. I don't have anything.
And I think Instant Ramen.
Instant Ramen.
They've been playing well
good.
for a while.
Yeah. I mean, we watch BNS all the time, so there's always teams that we look at and go like they're doing really well. It's hard to name a bunch off the top of my head because honestly, I feel like all the teams that have been playing in BNS lately have been slightly improving all the time. Who can I think of? Seafood Sorbet, I think, is one of them who keeps doing really well.
Yeah, they've been very consistent, and they used to. I mean, I don't want to say they used to be a meme team, but like they used to be kind of mid like low level, and now they'd be like consistently like mid to high. I guess.
Like they're getting up there. Bet keeps showing up.
Wait, wasn't the question like top tier or?
Well, teams
it was
that
are there any
are
up
up
and
and coming.
Up and coming.
I think Bet's a really good one.
Okay.
I think they always start doing really, really well. Yeah, those are like the two that I can think of off the top of my head. But there's a bunch that I could name with like more gusto if I actually looked at the rosters in a while.
There's not been that many recent tournaments. Like I wish there was tournaments that we could look at that have like higher level or all the high level teams or a good portion of high level teams participating, where we could see some of these up and coming teams start upsetting people. But that like really hasn't happened, at least in recent memory. Like you tend to see the same teams that are the usual suspects getting out of the pools and then ending up winning out in the rest of the sides of the bracket when you have them participating.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen an instance where DB, like Deep Blues, has gotten upset by somebody that I wouldn't have expected them to have the potential to lose to. Or I don't know. Ghost Gaming, Clockwork, Prophecy, Instant Ramen. All those teams are kind of holding it down, and they're not really letting anybody break in that I've seen.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into your next question from Samson _ SPL. He says, after 2018, major updates will end, and after 2019, so will Splatfest. What can the competitive community do to avoid death after direct Nintendo support and patches end? Does anyone want to start this off? Because I already know my answer.
No, you start us off.
Yeah,
It's not. It's actually kind of the start. You have to understand is that we keep changing the meta and how the game's played after every balance patch that happens. Once that finally actually stops and they're like, we are done, the meta is going to start evolving based on counter options. So we'll think one weapon's strong and then another weapon will counter, as opposed to the patch playing to the meta. We are adapting the meta based off of whatever is finalized. Like if you remember Splatoon 1, a lot of what ended up deciding how the game was played was once the game was done. And I don't think Splatfest ending and stuff will just kill the community, because I think most of us who do play in all the events aren't playing Splatfest, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, we don't care.
No.
I haven't played a Splatfest. The last Splatfest I played was because Melissa begged me to play with her, so I did.
I think it's going to be very dependent on the state of the game and how balanced it is at the end. That's ultimately, if they stop updating it and they leave it a shit show balance-wise, then it's not very liable to sustain itself. If they leave it reasonably well balanced, then the sky's the limit as far as how long or how much lifespan we can get out of it. But we also know that they're going to keep making Splatoon games because they keep making them money.
Yeah.
So by the time official developer support ends, we may have 6 months to a year before there's a Splatoon 3, at least an announcement. And then people will start thinking about that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think with Splatfest ending or any of those, say for instance, any updates, I don't think that's going to deter any competitive players from playing. And I feel like as long as obviously maybe they could make adjustments to rank, whatever they do, people will still play that no matter how long things go on. I feel like it's not gonna slow down after that. There will still be events. It gives more people time to actually study where the game's at, what other weapons there are in the game. It's just going to keep growing from there. You may see a little bit of fall down from your casual scene, but that happens with every game. So yeah, the competitive scene usually kind of thrives after things slow down from, I guess you kind of say, from the team. Not really thrives, but
I
they
think
get to do
still
more.
Splatoon 2 is a transition to a Splatoon in the future that will be more liable to have a competitive scene, because there's still a lot of things in Splatoon 2 that suck outright, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. But the netcode is like a trash can. You don't have dedicated servers, which every other competitive game has. Literally every other competitive game has that. The time gate on League, I've bought people Splatoon 2, friends of mine that I played other games with, that I wanted them to play Splatoon with me. Almost none of them have, because they don't want to do the prerequisite of you have to get to level 10 just to unlock ranked, and then you have to be B- in a mode. They give you 2 hours to accomplish that before you can even play with your friends in a team-based game. That's embarrassing. There's literally no excuse. Nobody can defend that other than it's a weird Japanese developer quirk. But I can't even, I don't have words to describe it. Because on release day, what does every competitive game want to do? If a new Halo or a new Call of Duty or a new anything comes out, Overwatch, whatever game it is, people were like, hey, the game released. Let's get a party together. Let's play the game. And so until that gets fixed, and then League needs to not be a meme. X-Rank needs to not be a meme. What there needs to be competition. There needs to be good matchmaking. I mean, it's just, until those things are fixed, our job as the competitive scene is just make sure it doesn't die before a sequel gives us the things that we want for it to really be like quote end quote esports ready. Because like there's a lot. I love the game. I love the core gameplay of Splatoon is really good and it's enjoyable, and I think that people watching it are drawn in because of the uniqueness and because of how competitive the game actually can be. And it's all of the things outside of what the game actually is that need to be fixed. So like as long as they keep the secret sauce going, just fix all the accoutrements, then it can really be something. So I think that's like for us as the community, we just need to support it and keep working on our production value and keep trying to draw viewers that way.
Yeah.
And keep improving things on that end. Because that's the only thing that we can do. Like really, as long as we keep tournaments going and stuff. Mm-hmm. But like when you look at, I'm sorry, I'm gonna rant on this a bit because I've been like it's been a slow buildup of things, like especially X rank.
To speak on for a long time.
Yeah, right. Especially X rank. Like if you play any other competitive game, being like a grandmaster or Onyx or champion level or whatever it is in League and Dota, I have no idea, whatever the highest ELO bracket is, like that means something. If you tell people that they understand the level of play that you're at, and if you're playing with people of similar level at that rank in those matchmaking systems, you can expect a certain level of play out of your teammates or in the people that you're playing against. And Splatoon, it's a total crapshoot. You have no idea. You can go into League and you're a 4 squad of 2,500 rated players, and you'll crack into like 1,700 rated players. Like there's no reason for that match to even happen. Or every single game, like every single comp player goes into X rank in their 2,400, 2,500 X rank. In the lobby, 8-player lobby power is like 2,100. 400 point lower. Like there needs to be some readjustment on the tiers of X rank, because initially they're like, yeah, X rank is 1%. Does anyone legitimately believe that X rank is 1% right now?
I think they say 1% of. I think that they're basing it off of all players, not active players. They're basing it off of every player since they've ever played, even if they're inactive. It's 1%.
So yeah, like 90% of the active player base is in X rank, which just means that it's essentially nobody takes it seriously.
Yeah, no, it's not 1% anymore. It's growing actually. So yeah, no.
So that is my long answer to that guy's question.
I mean, Spoon, actually I forgot your actual test that which you brought up before comes up in September. So
what test?
The test, the real test, the paying for the internet. How could you forget?
Yeah.
The doom and gloom, man. Come on,
yeah,
how could you forget?
Paying for internet's gonna kill everyone, man. I'm telling you, it's gonna kill the scene.
So I mean, we'll see after that, man. If people pay, and then there's a decrease.
I forgot that was coming up because there's been no news about it.
No, I watched them push it back.
Honestly, I don't doubt it.
I think that they will.
With all the cheating stuff going on, I doubt that it's not going to get pushed back.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Anyway,
no, the real test is when Mario Party comes out and people only use their Switch as a slave for playing Mario Party.
Okay.
It's like, I could play Splatoon, or
Mario Party.
I could play Mario Party.
This is so stupid.
Splatoon X rank? Mario Party.
Mario Party is where it's going to be at. Anyways, we have one from LJ_SPL. What if Nintendo added weapon skins, basically copying the systems in CSGO and TF2? Do you think that'd be cool?
That would be idiotic.
What?
It'd be dope. I love the skin, man.
That'd be cool.
They already have
the
different skins.
Listen,
they just come with different kits.
No. Give us more skins, man. Oh my god, are you crazy? Go all out about it. If you
and let's also introduce microtransactions and loot boxes.
Listen, no. Here's what we do.
Nobody's
skins that
that
you can purchase, and all those purchases go to prize pools and lands. I'm dreaming here, but you know.
Actually, I have a personal question that I was thinking of when I was watching Plat Cup. Do you think Splatoon balances the game around having sub abilities turned off? Because they do it at E3, and Plat Cup does it.
I doubt it because the actual ranked modes are all with subs enabled.
But like, if that were the case, why do they do sub abilities off for their own tournaments?
Because they don't want, because they use their own Switches.
Yeah.
Because they use Nintendo Switches and they don't have all the gear and all of the combinations, so I think it's easier for them instead of hacking their own game to just turn them off.
I don't know. That was a question I started thinking about when I was watching. Because
maybe just message Nogami there on Twitter and be like, "Yo, do you balance the game?"
Well, then like, why does Plat Cup? Like, why does Plat Cup, when they allow them to use their own Switches? I think. I mean, certainly in the league leading up to it, sub abilities were allowed, right? It always strikes me as very strange that you're going to be like, we're going to play a qualifier, all these qualification rounds, all these qualification tournaments with sub abilities turned on, and then you go into the finals, and you're losing 3 mains worth of gear, and it starts like really restricting the types of builds and the types of weapons that you can run. I mean, like, builds in this game have revolved around using every single sub ability, every single main ability that you could possibly could. So it's like, is the old school all charge up heavy splatling, is that as obnoxious when gear abilities are turned off? The like 2 peers of special saver sloshing machine, without all those peers, that starts not being as such a viable option. And I don't want to say that this like affected the outcome on either E3 or Plat Cup, but I think I take every tournament less seriously when gear abilities are turned off.
All right, well, we're gonna continue on because this is getting really long.
My bad. This is what you get for having me on.
We're going to finish this off with a question specifically catered to me, is when is the Overcooked tournament stream? And the answer is, if ever we run a LAN, I'm definitely having a side Overcooked tournament, without a doubt. So
that's the real competitive game.
That's the real competitive game. I'm telling you, if you want a team to learn how to do team coordination, play Overcooked, man. And try not to yell at each other. There's your test.
That's actually impossible. To play Overcooked without yelling it.
If you can do it, you're a great team.
If you can do it, then you're actually a robot, and those people should be banned for not being humans.
Wow.
Anyways, we're gonna end the show. Prodigy's been gone because he's apparently flooding and drowning in his own home. So let's finish it off. Do you want to shout out anything there, Mullen?
I don't know. I guess like I recently joined Vitamin C. So if you see us in tournament,
I didn't know you joined Vitamin C.
You didn't?
No.
Well, yeah, I joined Vitamin C.
Wow.
Not that long
cool.
ago.
Interesting.
So yeah,
congratulations.
If anybody's a fan of Vitamin C, go watch them play in tournaments. And other than that, I don't really have anything.
I mean, that's all you need to do. What's your Twitter handle? Shout out your Twitter.
Oh, my Twitter handle is @Ultramus, even though I go by Mullen in game. And my Twitch is Giant Panther.
Talk about not branding yourself accordingly.
I like to just not be consistent. Being consistent is for scrubs.
Wow.
The more nicknames you have, it increases your power. That's how it goes.
All right. So wait, someone's telling me to plug that SoundCloud? What?
SoundCloud? I think they're asking me if I have one, but I don't have a SoundCloud.
Okay. I don't get the meme. I'm sorry. I'm too old. Kendall, shout out your stuff.
The only thing I'm shouting out is Long Island Summer Splat. Make sure to sign up. We are right now 3 weeks to go.
Push your face into the mic.
3 weeks to go. Please sign up for Long Island Summer Splat. I'm done. I can't anymore. My mic is. I need to fix this because everything just shut out.
Okay. Anyways, everyone, Beyond the Ink is coming out again this Saturday. We're going to have Lily from Vitamin C on it, speaking of Vitamin C. So you get to tune into her life and learn a little bit about her. Also, BNS is this Thursday. If you want to donate to the prize pool, come sign in and donate. So if Vitamin C wins, they can get money. Also, additionally, Long Island Summer Splat is coming out. You should go watch that. It's going to be pretty sweet. I'm not going to be there. Kendall isn't going to be there, but we wish we could. What else? We have other things down the pipeline coming up. Look forward to that kind of stuff.
Oh, Fresh Start Cup. Gen Game just brought it up. Fresh Start Cup is this Saturday.
It's going to be streamed on Gen Game.
Gen Game, yes.
Good job.
And
I mean that for real. It was amazing production last time. So
yeah, Melissa pulled me again to commentate on this also. Yay.
Anyways, also, if you tune in a little bit later tonight, I believe I may actually stream on my personal channel with Overcooked with Toroko from Gacho Fugetsu. We've been hyped about it for a while. Hopefully we can get 2 others on and yell at each other, so it'll be great. And that's it.
Oh, that's dope.
So have a great night, guys, and we'll see you later.
Can you tell me where the hope has gone? Can you tell me